Welcome, dear friends. We're a blessing to be with you today. Here we are with another study of the Spiritist magazine. We are so blessed to be here today. We have one new, fresh, off the press issue for the Spiritist magazine. And today we'll have a beautiful learning session with ByMeiMei, an article titled Touch of Light. The most important topic of the Spiritist magazine is the Spiritist Center. Let me share with you, and many of you know, and some who don't. If you're new here, welcome. If you follow us every week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are so blessed to be together, humbled and honored to be in your presence today. Remember, you can visit spiritistmagazine.org to get access to all of the content free of charge. Either you like the PDF version of the magazine, that's what we use every Tuesday to study, or you can download the app for your devices, either your tablets or your cell phones, or you can even, if you wish, you can purchase the physical copy of the Spiritist magazine. The most beautiful, I have two here with me, and you have the most beautiful quality. The teachings are, of course, timeless. Here's our wonderful um, Euripides Barsonovo, which we study quite frequently here on Tuesdays, always learning from the superior spirits. And today, one new issue, so many things to celebrate this week. The discarnation of Chico Xavier on June 30th, the new issue of the magazine July 1st, which if you're watching this live on July 2nd when this airs, it will be yesterday. And in 2 days, we have July 4th here in the United States, where we celebrate our independence. And the spirit mentors of the magazine, our own spirit mentors, have inspired us to be here today together, studying these beautiful teachings. So I'm going to share my screen with you, which means you will be able to see the website of the Spiritist magazine. So if you were to visit the website of the Spiritist magazine, you will see, hold on a second, make sure my connections are working. It seems that they are. Here is the page of the Spiritist magazine, and you can access all of the 66 issues free of charge whenever. Make sure we are recording and live. If you were to click on this picture, which is the newest cover, the issue 66 of the magazine, will bring you, for example, to the page that allows you to either download the PDF version or order the physical copy of the magazine. If you click on this smaller one and you say go to link, then, excuse me, it's just, oops. Here is the Mag Cloud. This is the first time this app opens for me. So let's go to what I was able to do last time was to download. See, we are recording live, so sometimes things don't go our way. Okay. So I apologize. So you go to PDF download, go to link, and it will open the PDF version of the magazine that has been open inside my browser, which happens to be Chrome. So whichever browser you like to use. And you can easily see the thumbnails of the magazine where we have all of the issues, all of the articles, and we'll be talking about many of them. We'll be talking about many of the articles throughout the next few weeks. Here, the article we're going to talk about today is I'm lost it. It's called Touch of Light by the Spirit ByMeiMei. So what I'm going to do now is just share the PDF version of the magazine, which is what I downloaded previously on my computer. So here we have this beautiful teachings by byMeiMei today. The same way I was doing before, you can see the thumbnails, you can choose the articles you want. Right after this article is the main article from the cover, which is Spiritist Centers Are Not a Club. So we will be talking about that one next week. Today we have a meeting with byMeiMei. Beautiful article that she titled Touch of Light. So dear friends, when we talk about planetary transition, and we go to the Gospel according to Spiritism by Allan Kardec. There are many beautiful works from many different artists, many different writers and spirit authors such as Emmanuel and André Luis that shows to us the many facets of the different realms of life all around our planet. However, we always gonna cite not necessarily the newest, but we're always going to go back to the base, which is Allan Kardec. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, a chapter titled "In My Father's House," there are many mentions. Kardec compiles the teachings of the spirits, the superior spirits, who will tell us that there are different planets that inhabit the many galaxies, the many solar systems, and the universe as a whole. With the advent of the James Webb's telescope, our new calculations of the many, many more planets that are out there, stars with planets, their inhabitant has multiplied and expanded our view of the universe. And all of those planets can be categorized in terms of evolution. So we have primitive worlds, trials and expiations, which is what we are today. And the next level is regeneration. And in that chapter, Kardec compiles the teachings of superior spirits to tell us what each level of evolution is. Of course, that is a didactic way. There's only not five. Within even primitive worlds, there are different levels. Within trials and expiations, there are different levels. How do we know this? We've been a trials and expiation world for a while. We still are. We're transitioning, so there are changes in our planet. There are levels of improvement that you and I see from what we were 200 years ago, 500, 1,000, 2,000, so on and so forth, since the dawn of humanity on the earth, right? So we want to think about when we look around and we see the effects of planetary transition, where we are expelling from our own lives, the reincarnatory plans, all of the necessary lower level vibrations, learning to love, learning to interact, learning to be in relationship with one another. We want to train our eyes to attune with the good vibrations around us. It may seem that we are in darkness, but truly we are in light. And that's what we'll be talking about today with the Spirit byMeiMei for the blessed mediumship of Chico Xavier. As I mentioned in the beginning, we celebrate over 2 decades of his discarnation on June, at the end of June. So we want to thank him for his teachings. And we want to ask byMeiMei that connects with each and every one of us, deepening our understanding of these teachings by her. I'm going to make it larger so that we can focus on her words. We can read it together because two minds are better than one mind. And she says, perhaps you have not yet noticed the number of people who, in broad daylight, move about with a shadow over their soul. Right? Sometimes this is us. Beautiful sunlight, the sun shines with humility, as Emmanuel says in the book, Fought in Life, the chapter titled Humility. Even the muddy swamp, just humbly being the sun, giving us life, beautiful nature around us, wonderful temperatures today here. The heat wave is gone, right? It makes our life a little bit more comfortable. And then we have the shadow over our souls. She says, observe. Question 919 of the Spirit's book, know thyself. So we need to observe things around us, not observe for the sake of commenting and judging and gossiping, but to learn Every time Andrea Luiz and Emmanuel brings us examples, and even byMeiMei, Oedipus Barcelona is for our learning. Those are we call in science case studies. That's how medicine progresses. New things, different things are published, case studies. Nobody's judging those patients. We are just learning from their plight. So she says, observe. Now I'm going to go one step further with the instructions from the mentors. Now she's saying, you notice, or maybe we don't, that there's people walking around with the shadow over their souls. That assumes that we are the observers. I'm going to go one step further. Are we the ones walking with the shadow over our souls? We need to observe. Just as you talked with them, or as people talk to us, you will perceive that they are psychologically far away, right? Either we are in the past or we are in the future, anxious about the future or remorseful or longing for the past, never in the present. And God has granted us technology that is even making it worse because we're constantly reminded that it's another option, something that can happen differently out there. As a matter of fact, sometimes the words are not just monosyllabic in tone, but also come out harshly aggressive, right? Yes, yeah. So we're annoyed, we're aggressive, we don't want to be disturbed because we are actually having our attention hijacked by the devices and even by our own thoughts and minds. So we're not present, we're psychologically far away thinking about other things. And she says, as we observe, put yourself in their position, right? If we were the ones walking around with the shadow over our souls, psychologically far away, monosyllabic in tone, coming out harshly aggressive when someone addresses us, or when we say something, how would we want to be treated? Because that's a sign of dis-ease. Jesus was never psychologically far away. He was in communion with God. He took time to meditate and rest. But when he was with his disciples, he was present. So he came to show us how it is. Put yourself in their position, says byMeiMei. Remember that on many occasions on earth, we also feel torn between showing appreciation we owe others and the suffering we carry within us. So we are not alone because we all suffer from this from time to time. We come with sequela from other lives, we come with things to learn. And of course, our presence on the earth, in the physical world, the spiritual fluids around the earth, command us for a specific experience in this existence. Because life is continuous, so we can refine our words. I was listening to talks about this week. No, there's one life, the life of the spirit. And there are different existences, even though we refer to past lives, future life, but it is one continuum. Sometimes we are in the body, sometimes we are in the spiritual realm in this errant state. But we may carry this suffering, and we feel torn between showing appreciation for the presence of others, for nature, for the help we receive that we don't know, for everything that happens that allow us to be here. We're all connected. Nobody's pulling themselves by their bootstraps, even though the illusion of meritocracy is pretty strong in our materialistic world. So let's put ourselves in others' positions. Let's have empathy. Let's have compassion towards those who are in this position, who will see it has different causes and also is a disease. Somber night in your soul stems from various causes. So let's say we walk around feeling this darkness within us. So she's explaining to us what are possible causes, what could be happening that led us to that position. She says in some people, it comes from pessimism. Let me make it a little larger, folks. I want you to read this with me. If you're watching this live, if you're listening to this, I appreciate your attention. kindness and time. In some people, it comes from pessimism. So, from the pessimism with which they reject, that's the people, right? The trials that are required of them. So, sometimes we come here as a planet of what? Trials and expiations. So, some trials will be required of us. In others, the somber night of the soul arises from the conflicts sustained within themselves. Which conflicts? I know I'm supposed to be less attached to things, but I'm constantly searching for things, for things to buy, experiences of lower nature. I know that is not what the mentors are inspiring me to do, what Jesus is helping us to. We didn't come to the earth just to enjoy, to have things, to have a bigger car, to have money, to have that. Those are noble things, blessed. Otherwise, God wouldn't allow us to have them. But that should not be the only objective of our lives. But all of us, we have this consciousness inside of us. The divine laws are inside of us, even though they, as a whole, Spiritism is very a small percentage of the population. Everyone has inside of them this knowledge. We all have reincarnated before. We all have perished in terms of experienced the death of physical body before. So we have this conflict sustained inside of ourselves. We know what we should do, but then we choose a different path because we don't know and are trusting enough. And then we have conflicts. She says, you have friendly people who listen to you out of courtesy, but they can carry feelings of unrelenting tribulations. And you will be surprised about others who answer you to this or that proposal without the slightest perception of the matters to which you're concerned about, since they are completely turned into their own despair. So she's explaining to us here how we go about our daily lives without awareness of others' tribulations, and how we experience the same when someone is answering us, doing something for us without having any awareness of the matters we concerned about, because they are also in their own despair. So we are going around only inwardly worrying, and it's easier for us while incarnated to put on a persona. We can be here laughing, enjoy ourselves, talking about the things that we talk about when we get together, which is still at the earth's level very superficial, without truly showing that inside of our souls we have all these concerns, tribulations. We can put a face, we can put a mask. That's what the word I was looking for. But when we are in the spiritual realm, we don't have those. If you feel despair, tribulation, suffering, that's where you're gonna be, because we attract to ourselves that of which it is inside of ourselves through our thoughts, for our emotions, for our interactions, for our good deeds, the things we do that break the divine laws. So the blessing of the physical bodies that we are contained here, we can be together today, knowing, understanding that we are on the same vessel, which is Mother Earth, guided by the hands of Christ and his messengers, with all the resources that we need to grow in this life, in the place that you're born, with the families we have, the resources that we have, and yet be able to help one another progress and share in the resources as well. Sometimes such companions, broken in pain within themselves, I apologize, I didn't make it larger, remain around your network. So there will be people around us, our family members, friends, acquaintances at work. They will probably be amongst those you love the most. There are a lot of people we love, we interact with, and we don't get to know them in depth. When you find yourself in front of such desolate beings who make an effort to conceal their distress, to not open their wound with unnecessary questions and remarks. See, the loving spirit is so wonderful today, so don't go poke their wounds. Don't pry. Jesus never pried. People shared with him what they needed. He asked, "What do you want of me?" Right? And so are we. We ask people, "How can we help you?" We don't go probing for, because that's curiosity. We don't. There's no need for us to know everything. In the books of André Luiz, it's very clear that he's training on that in the beginnings, the first books, right? He has all these questions and questions and questions. Every now and then the mentor say, "Hey, calm your mind. Let's focus on what we're doing today." Later he learns that he doesn't need to know the intricacies of everybody to be able to serve them and alleviate their suffering. Do not open their wounds. We do on this earth ask so many unnecessary questions and make remarks. That's where the militia, the malice can come in, right? Maybe we don't make the questions or the remarks out loud because we've learned to zip it. It's an old saying that our ancestors would tell us: if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. People will normally, if they feel open to you, they will share, but we don't pry. This is very important in the context of this magazine or issue, which is about the Spiritist Center. Right? I'm gonna give a teaser about what we're gonna talk next week. Because when people come to our Spiritist Center, and I come say because the door to the Spirit Center is to my left. When they come in, there's a plan. There's a group of spirits who are supporting them. There may be a group of spirits who are coming to receive treatment. So when you are a fraternal counselor, you don't pry. People can share what they feel comfortable with you knowing, because we don't want people to feel shame after they share and they pour their hearts out to you. Because the mentors will inspire those participants to tell you what you need to know. And we can help people even without knowing details. And if you're a pass giver, you can give the passes and help with the harmonization of the spiritual fluids throughout the vital centers to bring about therapeutic benefits without knowing what the problem is. Even though someone might share that they have heart problem, a stomach problem, or whatever, headache. So he said, none, do not open people's wounds with unnecessary questions or remarks. Sometimes we are in conversation, we want to top one off. You share something. How does it feel? You share something with someone, and they go like, "Oh, but when I did this, when this happened to me, I did this." So we're like, "Oh, so now it's about you, not me anymore." We always have to be. There's one of the books of André Luiz, I believe, are the messengers, that they are sharing their failures as mediums in many aspects of the planet and in many different religions. And at first, because we do this on Earth, it seems like they're trying to one up each other. We do this on, right? We want our strategy to be to be worse, our problems to be sadder, our lives to be more complicated. But that's our nature on the Earth. So she's saying, do not open people's wounds with unnecessary questions and remarks. Now, what if someone comes to us and asks us the questions that open our wounds? Then we kindly redirect the conversation, and that's what she's going to tell us next. She says, listen to their confidence in silence when you cannot give them a phrase of hope and comfort. Sometimes the charitable act is silence. Jesus used it very well as the master, as the guide, and the model. In the book Jesus in the Home, go back and read it. Analyze his language, how he smiled with his eyes, how he chose the right time to say things. And that's who we should be modeling our behavior after. Listen. And whatever type of trials they face, offer them a gesture of friendship and understanding, adding the blessing of a smile. Offer a gesture of friendship and understanding. That may be silence. She says, add the blessing of a smile. Nowadays, we walk around, we barely look up. As a side, I do work on a large facility as a researcher, and there's so many people around. And every now and then you have to deviate from someone because they're like texting, and they don't even look. And most of us, when you look down and you're not aware, you don't walk in a straight line. So now you're at risk of collision with others. But we're also showing that I care more about this than you as a person. And there's nothing wrong with the technology, with texting. That's how we are together on an app or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We use WhatsApp to communicate. That's not the issues. The issue is the use of it. Always opt for human, eye to eye conversations. And now we just did a few moments of silence. It's a few seconds. Take a deep breath, allow the person to talk. We are very uncomfortable with silence in our society. So if we have fillers, with filler words, like, right. The newest one is right. My time was like, right, So we can't have that pause to breathe, to listen to our own thoughts, to hear the intuition of our mentors guiding us. Because sometimes they guided us to be with someone or a certain situation for us to add, not to subtract. So when we one up each other, when we open the wounds, when we ask questions, we are not necessarily adding, we are subtracting. Because now we're turning attention to us, we're hurting the person more, we're opening traumatic events, and we are commiserating in misery because the world is much better today than it was 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. We're just more aware of evil because it's more prevalent in the way that we communicate and share information. But we have gone so far from the times of Jesus. Just look at medicine, look at this technology. We read the books of André Luiz, and they have the psychoscope, the things we don't have. They have communication between the colonies way before the the governor of the colony, Solar, appears in everybody's houses. That's our TV, and that's our internet, that's our streaming, right? Way before we had the technology widespread on the earth. So it happens there before it happens here. So when we read these books, these cases, and we see how loving the mentors who guide the messengers are, the mentors who guide the missions are, how they don't pry, they don't probe, they insist, watch and pray, like Jesus said. Adding the blessing of a smile. We forget to smile. We are so focused on that being in the future, what I'm going to today, my dinner, my house, my drive, blah, blah. Or in the past, what did I do? And then we share to be today. Press on today. Because to dispel the shadows of a tormented heart, many times all we need is a smile of sympathy. There will always be a touch of light. Sincere, kind smile, looking people in the eye. If you have a chance, do this experiment. Next time you go to the grocery store, if you take the bus or the metro, the Uber riders, your door dashers, your mail person, the postal service, look at their badges. Try and read their names. Ask them how they're doing. And wait for the answer. Not just the how are you greeting that we do, but like pause. Look them. You'll be surprised that people are not used to that question as you mean to know how they are. And I assure you they will be honest. They are with me. Simple. Think about a cashier at the supermarket. Blessed way of earning a living, right? He's checking our stuff, helping us put it on the bag. Blessed is a supermarket where we can buy food that others produce. See how we're not doing things on our own. Blessed are the roads that got us there, the people who assembled the cars, those who, and then we can go back. Those who mined the metals to be in the car, made the pieces and put them together, the designers who envisioned, so we can go back. The people who fuel the gas stations. So you're there. Hundreds of people go through the line automatically, mindlessly, with that shadow, with that, and that cashier is receiving all of that. And then you come in, you smile, say good morning, good afternoon, you're pleasant, you're doing this smile of sympathy. You're not necessarily taking their job and doing it for them. You're making their day better. You listen to what they have to say. They ask you questions. I had someone ask me about my pets the other day. Didn't expect I answered. But very kindly, spreading joy of being alive. Many spirits would like to be here incarnated today. And they're waiting for their turn. The joy of being together in this earth. Going through the tribulations that we have to go through to get to the point of superior spirit. But remember, friends, May in the book God Awaits, there's a session with our dear friend Vanessa Saloni. You want to be this touch of light in your life, in the life of those who come in contact with you. In this beautiful blue dot in the immensity of the universe called Mother Earth. Ship, think of a ship, because there's no up and down. We have coordinates north, south, but the earth is suspended in one tiny arm of the Milky Way. So there's really no top, down, bottom, right? Because if you're at the North Pole, your top is different from the person at the South Pole, and the sides also in the east and west, right? So we have to think of ourselves as this beings living this experience on this earth, connected with one another. The ship is Mother Earth. The captain is Jesus. He's at the helm. We've studied this before. He's guiding us. He's the guide and the model. We follow him. And if we follow him, we watch him pray. We praise God. We read his account so we can learn. We learn about our own selves and our loved ones. We fulfill the law of society with the law of work, the law of equality, the law of justice and sharing, reproduction, destruction, the divine natural laws, so on and so forth. So we are so much more blessed than we even imagine. And then we're talking about Earth incarnate, and we're talking about the spiritual realm, the millions of missions every day, the millions of spirits. There's at least 8 billion superior spirits walking around with us. Who are they? More elevated than we are, not superior spirits. Our mentors. Have you thought about the touch of light that your mentor spreads around your day? These little drops of light and intuition and help, suggestions. And sometimes the suggestion is just be today present. So every day we have this personal trainer we can consult with. But Shane, I'm not a medium, an ostensive medium. We're all mediums. We learned that in the Mediums book by Kardec. So we can, if we are able to stop, breathe, pray, be aware, we are more open to hear their intuition that is always going to be to the good. It's very important. And there are the spirits who are around us. In the Spirits book, we get to know of the different types of spirits who are around us. So there's at least, I think it's in the book Roteiro, Emmanuel tells us at least 28 billion incarnates. Discarnates around us. Plus the colonies, plus the lower zone, or lower zones, the colonies. Non-solar is one of them, and the upper part of the lower zones. And then there's spheres of light that we don't imagine. Remember Asclepius in one of the books of André Luiz. He comes and he has to materialize in non-solar because he doesn't have human form. He's dreaming about Saturn. Saturn folks are dreaming about Jupiter. Jupiter is dreaming about Sun. When I say dreaming, they're like planning and working, because everything in nature is work. Only on Earth we think everything is about rest, relaxation, Instagrammable moments, passports, and traveling. And this, we're just going about our physical needs. But there's so much goodness, even just within our Mother Earth, that is blessing us with this touch of light. So, dear friends, be the touch of light you wanted to see in the world today. Be the one who smiles first, who cares first, who look in and be present in order to be of help and assistance to yourselves, to your loved ones, to the mentors, to Jesus in our daily lives. Visit spiritistmagazine.org. Spread the good news of Christ. Send this to someone else, this study to someone. Like, share, subscribe, follow, because the more we do, more the content is relevant. It helps Cardiac Radio elevate its profile on YouTube. Right? We recently reached 2,000 subscribers, which is a blessing. Many people watching and listening, many do who doesn't subscribe. So go to your Spiritist Center, pray with the people, invest on yourself and your spiritual growth through study, attend the studies, be a member, be a practitioner, be there every day, every Sunday. So many spirits and so many incarnate beings are in need of help. And that's all this message is about, a touch of light. Dear friends, many blessings to you, to your loved ones. Stay well, stay safe, reach out to someone and help. And I hope to see you, God willing, next week with another study of the Spiritist Magazine. Bye bye.